这门课哈不必录影，对，OK，关，好，先录好了。Okay, it's time for our class. Okay, welcome everybody for this new semester. Frankly speaking, I didn't expect we have foreign students here. So, I think you are probably not native Mandarin speakers. So I have to ask you two gentlemen a question. Do you understand Mandarin? No. Okay. Okay. So I wouldn't say we have. Okay. Okay. 小声一点，再小声。Okay. Okay. This is okay. 再小声一点。All right. Okay. Perfect. Then I have to make a deal with two of you. In some part of this class, I would say less than 10 or 5% of time. If I communicate with the remaining class in Mandarin, would that be okay? Okay. The reason why is the concept of control is relatively complex. Okay. And English, for the majority of us, is not our native language. So the concept is already very complex, and language creates another barrier. Therefore, sometimes I have to speak English and then speak Chinese again to make sure that everybody understands, okay? To somehow reduce the stress and frustrations, okay? But since this is a class, so supposed to be lectured in English, it wouldn't be fair for people who don't understand Mandarin. So I need to have your understanding. Would that be okay? However, in any part of the discourse, whenever I speak Mandarin and somehow it create some confusions for you, just go ahead, raise your hands and tell me you are not comfortable. Okay. You don't understand what's going on, okay? And you want to make sure that you have not been left behind, okay? All right? Okay. Thank you very much for your understanding, okay? Wow, okay. Another thing is, this is the first week. As I said, I didn't expect any foreign students. Therefore, some of our PowerPoint slides, I written, presented it in Mandarin, okay? But I'll get a lecture in English, all right? And for next week, everything on the PowerPoint slides will be given in English and is available. You can download them whenever you want. Okay, the first thing I need your attention is this is the QR code on our Facebook. I expect you to attend this group because we will publish every relevant information about this course in this Facebook group, including our PowerPoint materials, including solution to the exams and so forth. Okay, and I'm sorry, this includes all my personal information. Again, there are numbers, so I think these numbers are not difficult to understand, including my name. My English name is Benson. Okay, you can just call me Dr. Yan if you want. Okay, this is my office. I'm sorry. This is the location of my office, location of my lab. This is my phone number, my office phone number. This is my mobile phone number. This is the classroom, the location of this classroom. This is my line ID. Taiwanese use line all the time for social communication. This is my email. This is the name of the Facebook group. I think I will change it to another name in English, okay, later, right? The reason why I gave you all my personal information is that whenever you have problem with this course, okay, you can contact me, okay? All right, and these are, or sorry, I forgot to update this slide. We have a TA here, which is David, okay? He's my graduate student, and trust me, he's very smart, he's very competent, and he's fully dedicated to this course. So whenever you have problem, you can, of course, come to me or come to him. I'm pretty sure he will be very, very helpful, okay? And one of the most important things, I think, before everything starts, is that I want to emphasize that I'm not a native English speaker, okay? My English is far from perfect. You are not, most of you are not native English speakers, okay? But we have to admit that English is, or has been a universal language for a long, long time. People come from different nations, all their native language, native tongues is not English, are not English, but they communicate in English. All right. So, but I also at the same time I think that the most important function of language is for communication. So, what's the communication purpose of communication? Understanding one another. Okay. If I speak broken English, but if you can understand my English, and if you don't speak perfect English, but I understand what you trying to convey, I think that's good enough. All right, I think that's good enough. Okay, so feel comfortable to ask me in a class in English. Okay, even you think your English is not perfect, but if you prefer to ask questions in Mandarin, that is also very welcome. All right. Okay, this is the schedule of our lectures. It's based on a calendar published by our school. Now there are 3 days I need your special attention. This is the time of October 15th for the first midterm, time for the second midterm. This is the time for the final. All right. Okay. So, please come to these exams. Please, because it has everything to do with your final grade. Now, how do we come up with the final grade? Very easy. Okay, we just take the average of the 3 exams, 2 midterms, 1 final. Okay. However, there is one rule for your final grade. Okay. After taking the average of everybody's exams, okay, I will find the top score among you. Let's say the top score among you is 80, right? I would add 19 to his score, so that the highest score, the highest grade in this class among you will be 99. But since I add 19 to his grades, I will also add 19 to everybody's grade. All right. Okay. So that is one basic rules. Okay. For this class, you have to sign up every day. But I'm sorry, not every day, every week, whenever you come to this class, because attendance matters. Okay. It matters. It has everything to do. But I wouldn't say everything. It has something to do with your grade. When I first came to this school in Kitch, I was did my graduate study in the United States. So I really I wouldn't say really didn't pay any attention to attendance, but I at least didn't apply any restrictions or requirements on attendance. I think if I did a good job in if I can do a good job in teaching, people will naturally come to this class. Okay, but that is apparently not the case because some people just don't show up from day one. They don't give me any chance to prove myself. Some people just never show up. Okay, it's not that I'm not good enough because he never come to my class. How do you know I'm good or bad? Okay, so I want to change that. Okay, now here is about the rule of attendance. What is the definition of missing a class? Very simple. Whatever the reason is, if you fail to show up in this class, it's count as one missing class. I don't care whatever the reason is, okay? It doesn't matter, okay? But the thing is, if the times of missings is less or equal than 3, then there will be no penalty, okay? No, any deduction of your final grade, all right? Has to be less or equal than 3, okay? So you have 3 opportunities. Now there are some rooms, of course, for I wouldn't say operation, but there are some rooms for time management, okay? And if the time of missings is 4, then I will take 2 points off your final grade. Is the time of missing is 5, then additional 4 points will be taken from your final grade. If the time of missings, the number of failed to attend the class is more than 5, the final grade will be 0. Okay, I'll just funk these students. Let's hope this will not happen to any one of you. Okay, if you have problems with these rules, come to me. Let's talk. But I hope you understand this is for the best. Okay, because I think I don't understand people from all over the world, but I'm pretty confident that I have a good idea about what Taiwanese students' learning attitude is. I think apply a acceptable amount of pressure to young students actually can turn into the good driving force for learning, right? Okay, there are, of course, some bonus, okay, or encouragement. If the time of missing is less or equal than 2, then your final grade will automatically be upgraded 1 level. Let's say your final grade originally is A, and your time of missing is just happened to be exactly 2. Okay, so it's less or equal than 2. Then your final grade will be upgraded from A to A+. Okay, as a bonus, as a reward, as encouragement. All right. Now, one final note. Okay, I already told you the time for midterm and final examinations. Okay, please show up. Okay, please don't mix these exams. Please don't give me any reason or excuse to tell me I cannot come to the exams, because it will create a problem. Okay, all the exams will be given in English. Okay, and all the exams will be open book, which means you can bring all the printed materials, your notes, your textbooks, books you can borrow them from the library to the exams. Okay, there is no limitation. Now, of course, I expect you bring your own stationery, including ball pen, a calculator, and if you want, you can also bring your own dictionary for translation. All right, okay. I know English is not everybody is comfortable with English. If you have problem answering the exam, not because you don't understand control, it's because you have problem with the English, then that is simply not the course, the goal of this course. Okay, that is I will flunk you because you don't understand English. That is not a good guideline. Okay, okay. I also want to tell you all my problems will come from large language model. All right, that is I use to check large language model like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, okay, DeepSeek to generate questions for the exam, okay? The point is, how do I generate these questions, okay? I will ask ChatGPT. I will prompt those large language models, such as this. I'm an instructor of an undergraduate control course. I'm preparing an exam. I need your help to propose a number of true or false questions with solution. And the topic of this true and false questions are blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the key here is you know how to ask the right questions, which I believe is a very essential tech skill for engineers and for a person, human being. Know how to ask the right questions. That by no means is not an easy thing to learn. Okay, and it doesn't also, okay, I will not take everything large language model gave me as the way it is. I will, for the most part, I will screen every questions they propose, prepare for me. And if necessary, I will make corrections. I'll do some editing job to make them better, okay? But use large language model to help you to learn is a very good idea. Nowadays, whenever I turn on my computer, okay, whenever I turn on my browser, I always turn on ChatGPT, Claude, DeepSeek, okay, and Gemini. At least 5 large language models at a time, okay, and then consult them all the time. They help me a lot. Now reading academic papers is, for me, is much more efficient, much more efficient than it used to be. All right, and large language models are also very helpful in helping me to prepare the teaching materials. That is the reason why this course will not have any textbook, because I believe if you know how to ask the right questions, you can have all the materials, learning materials you need. You can obtain them from the large language model, okay? From my personal experiences, I think I'm pretty confident that is what I just said is very true, okay? Now, okay, during exams, we'll arrange the seats according to such a setting, which means you will not sit next to one another. There will always an empty seat. Your neighbors will always be empty seats. All right, okay? Now, another thing is that is very important is that everyone has to bring their student ID, okay? To verify you are the person who claim you are, okay? Why am I doing this? Because things shit happens before. You know what I'm talking about, all right? Okay? Now, if you don't bring your student, you forgot to bring your student ID, that is also okay, because all we need to do is, with your agreement, take your photo, and then next time you bring your student ID to verify, okay, you are who you are, okay, and that's the end of the story, okay. And let me assure you, let me also inform you that every exams, okay, every piece of the exams will have a electronic copy, which is captured by mobile phone. All right. So there will always be an electronic copy of your exams. Okay. Why am I saying this? I think you can figure it out yourself. Okay. Now, after attending exams, you cannot leave the exam. You can only leave the exams after 40 minutes, all right? And if you're late more than 30 minutes, you cannot attend the exams, all right? So there is a gap between the first, the time of leaving the exam and the latest time of attending the exams, all right? And I will not prepare any, how do I say this? Okay, I will not give you the exams of last year or the year before last year's, okay? In Mandarin, we call it 考古题 because if I used to do that, okay? Before the exam, I give you the exam of the questions I gave in 1 year before, the year before, 2 years before, etc., etc. And people like that. But I think that's not good because it made people think what I need to learn is what the professor will test us. But I really want people to learn what they really think, what is necessary to learn, what is the important materials I need to learn from this class, okay? All right, and the next few slide is about honesty, all right? Now for this class, I'll just skip them, all right? Okay, one thing I need to mention is that there are some additional rules about attending this class. What you can do as a student in this lecture, okay? The rules, I think, is pure and simple. Whatever you can do in a theater when you're watching a movie, you can do in this class. Can you sleep in a theater? Yes. Can you eat? Of course. Can you drink? It's allowable, okay? If you don't want to, even in a theater, if you don't want to watch a movie, you want to use your smartphone, that is also, I wouldn't say acceptable, but you want to do that, then it's your freedom, okay? And you can come in and come out all the time. Go to the restroom or just take a break or have a cigarette, whatever, okay? So whatever you can do in a movie, during watching a movie, you can do in this class, okay? But that does not mean I'm not painful watching you doing this, okay? I'm teaching and all your attention is on your attention is on your smartphone, okay? And I'm teaching and you are sleeping, okay? That wouldn't make me feel very comfortable. But why are these actions allowable? Imagine this, I'm a movie director. I make a movie. I think it is a masterpiece. I dedicate myself a lot of my views to this movie. The movie finally show up, okay, in front of us. And I go to the theaters. I see how the audience responds. And these guys, they pay money to watch my movie. And in the theater, some of them are sleeping. Some of them are drinking. Some of them just come in and out all the time. And they just don't get a shit about my masterpiece, okay? Of course, as a director of that movie, I will be very painful. But can I go to the audience and say, shit, what are you doing? Okay, are you an idiot? Okay, why don't you learn to appreciate my movie? I can do that, okay? I can do that, okay? But that doesn't mean I'm not in pain. Okay, there is one thing that is not acceptable in this lecture, is that during the lecture, you cannot speak to yourself or speak to one another, okay? Because watching a movie, conversation, talking is also not acceptable. People come here to watch a movie, okay? If I talk all the times, that creates a very unpolite disturbance to the remaining audience. Okay, all our teaching materials will be presented in Facebook. And I'm thinking, whether should I also record everything and upload them in YouTube. Okay, I'm still I haven't decided yet. Okay, another thing, this is for Taiwanese students only. Okay, this course, control course, is given in English. There is another control course. Okay, I'm also the instructor, is given in Chinese. The teaching materials of these two courses are basically the same. Okay, so if you have problem with English, I'm not saying the problem is yours. It's probably mine. My English is probably not good enough for you to understand. You can always go to that class to learn. Okay, you don't have to show up physically because all the class contents of that course will be recorded and uploaded to YouTube. And since the time the time of their class is on Thursday, I'm sorry, Tuesday, okay, that is yesterday, okay, so you can always watch that lectures, I think on Tuesday afternoon, okay, as a preview of the next day's lecture, all right? And that lecture, as I said, and let me emphasize again, okay, basically cover the same materials, however, same instructor, however, it is given in Mandarin, okay? All right, let's go to our topic, control, all right? And the first part is, of course, introduction. As probably you have already, I think you already know that our mechanical engineering department is divided into 5 different divisions: thermal science, solid mechanics, control, design, manufacturing, and narrow technologies. I belong to the control divisions. I did my graduate studies. My undergraduate, master and PhD studies are all about control. So, the reason why I study control is that I think, first of all, control is very cool. And second of all, I think control is a good bridge between mechanical engineering and electrical engineering. And when I was a graduate student, I think electric engineering has a very good future. So I took most of my graduate courses in the electrical engineering department. Okay. Now, I understand some of our students are also thinking about transfer to the electrical engineering department. I get that, okay, because when I was in your age, that is what I wanted to do, okay? But I would say you don't, let's talk about that issue later, but let me give you the answer first. Don't do that, okay? Because the golden age of mechanical engineering is coming, okay? That I'm pretty positive. Okay, let's go talk about control first. First of all, there are 2 types of controls. One is sequential control, one is feedback control. And for control engineering, we focus on feedback control. Now, what is sequential control? Sequential control is also called a sequential logic control, okay? Now, that feedback control is also referred to as continuous sign dynamic control, okay? Now, what is sequential controls? It manages discrete step-by-step operations like machine cycles, okay? And basically, it governing the order of events. One very simple example. Let's say you have a number of light strips, okay? And you can turn it on and off, okay? So you can make arrangement. Let's turn it on one by one, from left to right, and turn it on and off, one by one, from left to right. And next, reverse the direction. Turn one light on one at a time and turn it off. And sequentially, this time from right to left. And next, you turn every light on and off, flash, 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 3 times. And then you go back to the first step, from left to right, from right to left, and then flash, flash, 3 times. Okay, and you can make all kinds of different arrangements. And the way you do that, the hardware behind it is sequential control, because it manages discrete step-by-step operations, okay, and it governs the order of events. And so sequential control is very popular in industry automation, okay? But sequential control, people always think sequential control is control. That is not exactly the whole picture, all right? Because what it really does is it executes pre-programmed logic instruction to control machines, okay? Not just one machines, okay? For industry automation, it can involve a production lines or separate production lines, which each of them consist of multiple different machines, okay? And the good thing about it is when in controlling them, you don't use hardwired circuits, okay, or hardwired dedicated devices, because if we do that, it's doable, but it's not flexible. With PLC, the good thing is it is flexible and programmable, okay? Once you decide to change the operation contents of your production line, you can reprogram your PLC, okay? Now, of course, with the emergency of personal computer, there is another choice for sequential or dynamic control. That is PC-based control. Now here, PC becomes the central controller, and it replaces PLC or dedicated microcontroller. All right. Now, what are the advantages of using PC? First of all, it's flexible because you can upload many programs, okay, software in your PC, and those software can help you do a lot of things, okay, including complex computations. For example, if you want your machine to see, okay, that machine should have machine vision capability, and that machine vision capability comes from AI, and AI demands a lot of computational power. Okay, and PLC cannot do that because PLC was not designed for AI. It was not designed for intensive, complicated computations. But PC can do that because you can always add a GPU card on a PC, and it will immediately upgrade the computational power of the PC and integrations, okay? Because with a PC, with all the USB input-output ports, you can integrate your PC with databases, with networks, and you can always create user-friendly interface to interact with persons, okay? Now, so in the lab, okay, let me put it this way. When to use PLC? If you have large factory, you are dealing with larger amount of machines, you will probably prefer PLC. But if you are in a lab with medium or small numbers of machines, probably PC is a good choice, okay? Another thing is POC, because in the beginning, the designer already considered that POC will be used in industry, in factories. So its structure, its hardware is designed to be durable. Okay, so it is, in comparison, PC are generally less robust than PLC. Okay, now, and another thing is, in using PC, we need to use real-time operating systems. Now, here is a key word, real-time. Okay, and real-time is, the concept of real-time is important for control. So let's now jump into the term real times. Okay, what is real time? In English, real time means time as measured by our clock, by our watches. Okay, time you can comprehend. Okay, because time flies, you can comprehend that. Okay, so real time, in one sense, represent clock time, or time measured by our clocks and watches. But real-time in control engineering is about whether the control system's actions keep pace with physical clock time. What did that supposed to mean? Thinking about this system, you have a GPS, okay, system, and you use Google Map to help you go around. Okay, and Google Map will give you instructions. For example, when you come to an intersection and you need to make a right turn, okay, and Google Map will tell you make the right turn, hopefully beforehand. But since the information comes from the satellite, right? GPS represents global positioning system. How do Google Map know where I am? Based on the information provided by the satellites. And when my car or my phone communicate with the satellites, the signal has to travel. And whatever the speed is, it takes time. So there is certain amount of time delay between communications. If the time delay is too large, then the instruction make a right turn will come in not early enough. I'll mix the intersection, or I simply don't have the time to prepare myself to make a right turn. Okay, it happens to us before. Because nowadays, I think Google Maps is doing a better job, but it can also happen because of the time delay. Where does the time delay come from? In this particular case, it comes from the time gap due to communication. Okay, so the time delay in most cases is inevitable, because to make a decision, whatever computer you use, I don't care how fast it is, it takes time to conduct a computation, right? If you use a sensor, it takes time to a sensor to respond. And when you're using multiple devices, it takes time for these devices to communicate with one another. So it's not a matter of whether time delay exists or not. It is always there. But the important thing is the time delay should be small enough so that I can get my job done without any, I wouldn't say inconvenience, without any basic, without messing me up. All right, let me just put it this way. Okay, so in everyday language, real time often means very fast. Now, for control engineering, real time means that control system can guarantee a predictable and reliable response to events with strict, predefined timing deadlines. Okay, now where does this teaching material come from? Large language model. Okay, I will not read this contents word by word, okay? Because you can always read them by yourself, okay? Okay, I present them here as a background material, so you can study them yourself. If you have any problems with these materials, you can always come to David or me to ask questions. But the next possibility, and sometimes people even prefer that, go to the large language model, ask them the question, all right? Don't just ask one large language model. For me, I think ChatGPT's response is often more concise, okay? Simple, concise, get the job done, but not that complete. But for this sake, okay, for the same questions, the materials, its response is, I think, it always generates a lot of materials. So I can go back and forth between these two large language models, okay, and decide which one I prefer for my problem, all right? But I recommend you do that. I recommend you do that, okay? That because if you know how to use them, I'm not saying it's a no-brainer. It is not. But if you know how to use them, it will be a great help. But remember, one thing, you always have to keep in mind that you are the master, okay? You are in charge. They are tools, okay? You are the boss. You decide what is wrong, what is right, okay? All right? Because AI can be very persuasive. AI can be very persuasive. All right. Now, control has everything to do with system processing. Now, for processing systems, there are three fundamental approaches: system analysis, signal processing, and system identification. And the third approach is the goal of this course, control. So what are their differences? Why are they all important? Let's first go to system analysis. I'm sorry. Okay. Now, in studying a system is represented by a block, and this block has an input. This block has an output. In the framework of system analysis, input is given. System is also given. The question here is that if you know the input, if you know the system, can you predict the output, what the output will be? All right? Okay. So the system is often represented as a mathematical model, okay, of physical description. And it is very important for engineers to understand the behavior of the system before building or testing it, okay? Let me give you an example of system analysis. You want to make a new car, okay? Okay, to be modern, to be popular, to be powerful, to be efficient. But there is one guideline you have to follow. That is safety requirement imposed by the government, okay? Right, so you have to pass some collision test. You can build a car and run it into a wall and see what happens. And if you fail, I probably have to do it again. But it is very time consuming and will burn a lot of money. Especially I have to do it again, and again. So what I will do is I understand the mathematical model of the system. Therefore, I don't have to physically build the system. I don't have to build a car, the real car. I just build a mathematical model in a virtual world, which can be simulated in my computer. So I write computer programs, okay, to run all the tests. If my design does not pass the computer communication, then I had to redesign everything, okay? Only after all the computer simulation tests have been passed, I will consider build a real car. And the reality is that computer simulation cannot replace experiments entirely, but it really saves a lot of time and save a lot of money, okay? Now, system analysis, the central problem of system analysis is to determine the output when the input and the system is known. This is also the very reason why, as a mechanical engineering student, we need to learn heat transfer. Because heat transfer, if you know heat transfer, there is a motherboard of a personal computer. This is our system, and input is the heat generated by the CPU or GPU. And the output is the temperature distribution of the motherboard, which is crucial because if the temperature is too high, then my electric components will burn or will dysfunction. All right? So heat transfer is important. Now, this is also the reason why we need to study engineering mechanics. Because without mechanics, without Newton mechanics, without solid mechanics, without mechanics on materials, it is hard for me to build such a model to predict the result of collision, right? Okay, this is also the reason why we have to study electric circuit analysis to see what happens if I apply a certain voltage or certain power input into my electric device and what will come out, all right? So system analysis is very important. And here is one critical point, okay? What is a system? System can be a heat transfer system, can be a solid mechanics system, can be an electrical system, can be an optical system, okay? And if you want to learn control, you don't want to learn just in electrical engineering department. You want to learn control. If you want to learn control, you learn control in mechanical engineering department. Why? Because in mechanical engineering department, we know system better. Okay, system, we learn this, okay, because system can be a thermal system. We learn this because system can be a solid mechanics systems, okay? And engineering mechanics, heat transfer problems, thermal problem exist in the real world, okay? I'm not saying electric engineering department is not important, but when it comes to control, mechanical engineering students should have some edges because we learn more about different types of physical systems. We have a better overall view of system, all right? Now come to the second approach, okay? Now, the general structure remains the same. That is, I have a system, I have an input, and the system, with the application of the input, will come out with an output. But now, the unknowns become the system. That is, I know the input, and I specify the output. The question is that for this input to convert to this output, what the system should be, okay? Signal processing is also a very important application. For example, nowadays, I can transfer my voice to different characteristics. For example, I can transfer my voice like it is said by the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Okay, it can be done, all right? And people actually do that all the time. So the input is my voice, the output is the voice of Donald Trump. Then I have to figure out a signal processing strategy to get this done, all right? Why do Taiwanese people want to go to the KTV to sing? You can sing at home. Because the audio system in the KTV, okay, karaoke, is not just amplify our voice. It make some adjustments to make our voice sounds better, some like more professional, okay? Some more like a professional signals voice. And that is also the goal, one of the applications of signal processing. Another thing is session identification, okay? Now, what is session identifications? There are cases model derived purely from physics would be too difficult or inaccurate, okay? Here is a machine, okay? It is so complicated, I have no idea how to establish a mathematical model for this machine. Oh, there is a phenomenon, it is so complex, I have no idea how it works. Okay, so what do? Okay, while session analysis acts given known session model and known input, what is the output? Okay, that is the question raised by session analysis. But for session identification is given a major input and the corresponding major output from a physical system. What is the mathematical model? You conduct a series of experiments with different input and different output. And from this input-output interactions, from their relationships, can you characterize or can you estimate or identify this model? Okay, it can be done. It is mathematically usually very complex, usually a very complex mathematical process. But if you know what kind of inputs to apply, okay, time is up. Actually, we'll come back to this class in 10 minutes. All right? 谢谢。